How can you build a $1 million PC with only $50,000? That's what we're going to explore in this video. If you have $50,000 to spend, this is the way to build a $1 million PC. I am going to go through everything. This is a deep dive. If you've wanted to know the secret to how to build a collection that's worth way more than the money you have in your back pocket, if you want to get cards like this, okay, these are the cards that you want in your collection and you don't have the money right now to buy them, this is the video for you. Now, here's the question that I want everybody to answer. What are the top 5 cards that you want in your PC? Put it down below in the comments, and then we're going to get to the intro, and then we're going to get to the video. There is a viewer comments at the end. Do not click away if you like the viewer comments. I'm going to do that at the very end, but this is a deep dive, which means that I want you to hit the save button. I want you to watch this over and over again. Take notes. This has a lot of information in it. You're not going to want to miss this. How do you build a $1 million PC starting with $50K? Cue the intro.
EDI Sports Show every Friday, hot take, what's the market, behind the scenes from the car shows to the streets. There's only one show, there's only one show I want to watch, EDI Sports Show every Friday.
Welcome back to EDI Sports Show. I'm your host, Doc Schwartz, and we have a big show for you this week. I am actually going to go over how to build a $1 million PC with only $50,000, and there are 4 phases to this strategy. Now, I'm going to say this right up front. This is not going to be easy. There is no get-rich-quick scheme here. This is not going to be easy. This is going to take time, and this is going to take a ton of work. So if you're ready, though, we're going to get into all 4 phases in this week's show. Again, this is the big reveal. So if you have always wanted to know how you could get a $1 million PC starting with $50,000, this is it. All right, let's get into phase 1. So the first part of this strategy is the Topps MVP buyback program, which some of you may or may not know about. Now, there are 3 things that you need to understand in terms of how it works. So the first is buy 2024 Topps Chrome and collect the MVP candidates. 2, once the MVPs are announced, which is in November, then you take the Chrome back to your local card shop, participating card shop, and they will give you step 3, which is store credit. Now, here's the thing that you need to understand. So the base card, this is how much you get for the base card. You're going to get $20 for the NL and the AL MVP buyback program. So again, here's the key, is that people get store credit. And this is where you can actually start taking advantage, because if people can get store credit, you can actually give cash and then you get the cards and then you exchange them for store credit. Now, obviously, you can't give them $20 of cash. Remember, they're only going to get store credit. So that's going to be in November. So if you have a pretty good idea, and we kind of do, we know who's going to be the MVP. It's going to be Shohei Ohtani. So if you go and buy all the Shohei 2024 Topps Chrome cards right now, you could get all of that $20 credit at your local card shop. And this is the key, is that you need to negotiate a lower cash price so that you're giving people cash right now for cards that you're going to exchange for later on for store credit. Trust me, you're going to want to do that, because that store credit's going to mean you're going to get product at a lower value. Okay, remember, you're going to pay X amount of cash for, Shohei Ohtani now, because people are not going to want to wait for their cash. Understand, if you give them $5 or $7 right now, you get $20 on the back end. That means you're making $13 or $15 in credit on any product at that local card shop. That's what you need to understand. So you're only paying $5 for something that's worth $20. This is the key. This is what you need to be able to do. All right, so that's the first thing that you want to do. Now let's go to the second thing, which is buying bulk. All right, so if you remember last week, I showed you this Reddit post, a guy that had 100,000 cards from, various years. So like 2021, 22, 23, 24, Topps, Chrome, Panini, all of this different stuff. And he spent way too much money. We already said that was a $50,000 mistake. Again, there's nothing, this guy's going to want to make his money back, but there's no way to do it. So here's how this breaks down. There are 22 boxes in this picture, okay? So they're all 5,000 count, and they're 22 boxes. Those would normally be, that 5,000 count box would normally be a dollar bin box, right? So as a dealer, you'd put it out as a dollar bin box. All right. Now here's the problem. You're not going to sell that many cards out of the dollar bin box. So this is a wrong strategy. What I want you to do is I want you to make team lots. I want you to basically get all the cards together. And yes, different years is good, although you can do the same year, but different years is good. You want to put together 25 card team lots, and you're going to sell those for $5 each. And the reason this works, because I'm going to show you this. So here's, I'll show you on screen. So here you go. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay, so that's 25 cards right here, and that's going to be $5. That's it. It's going to be $5 for 25 cards. Now you already saw there's some cards in here that are worth at least $1. I mean, this is an autograph card for Randy Myers. Now, it's not a big deal, but it's worth $1. I mean, I don't know about you, but that's an auto. That's worth $1. You've got some of these others. So here you go. Doc Gooden. This one is an 86 Fleer. Okay, we've got a Sport Flick. Okay, hold on. Okay, we got a Pete Alonso Pink. We got a Jacob deGrom from Topps Chrome. So again, some of these cards, here's a Brett Beatty rookie. So some of these cards are worth at least $1. So these are all worth $1. These are all worth $1. So again, if you're selling a 25 count lot, a team lot for $5, that's a value to somebody because they're like, yeah, I could probably buy that and make a couple bucks off of it. And that's the point, is that you're buying at bulk, real low, because again, it's not worth all that much, but you can resell it at $5 for a 25 card lot. Now I'm going to put these down. So here's where I'm going to do the phase one. So let me go back over this. So it's 22 boxes, 5,000 count. You want to pay $50 for one 5,000 count box, okay? So that's your metric. You want to pay $50 for an entire 5,000 count box. Now, again, some dealers are going to be like, absolutely, I'll sell this to you for $50 because, again, $50 right now is way better than carrying around a 5,000 count box, especially when you have 22 boxes. That's crazy. So in this scenario, you would be offering this guy that's 22 5,000 count boxes, you'd be offering him $1,100. That's the total amount. Now, he may or may not want that. Okay, so give me 5 boxes. And at $50 each, that's $150. Again, He's got so many cards that hopefully he's like, yeah, okay, I'll sell you a few of them and I'll sell the rest myself. Again, it's going to take him forever to sell these cards, but here we go. So that's your strategy. Now, if you do this, if you buy 22 boxes, 5,000 count, that's 1.1 million cards. And if you divide them by 25 card team lots, that's 4,400 total team lots. That's how the breakdown is, all right? At $5 each, that nets you $22,000. Remember, you only spent $1,100. You could spend more. Like I said, this is going to net you $22,000. So you could spend $1,500. You could spend $2,000. Understand the metrics. You're making $22,000 on the back end. Therefore, what you want to offer is off of what the end result's going to be. Now, if you do this 2 times, remember, because I said a budget of $2,000. So if you do this 2 times, 1,100 times 2, you will actually make your $40,000, which is where we are right here on the list. So 2,000, you make 40,000. See here, this is how this works. All right, let's get to the next one, which is cheap junk wax. All right, so let's go to this. This is what cheap junk wax. So this is actually from eBay, and what I want you to see is, so this is a total like mess. I mean, clearly a mess. And I don't know what this person is thinking that they're going to be able to get, but you want to buy all of this stuff again for very, very cheap, very cheap. And the reason you want to do that is you want to spend about $1,000 and you're going to make about $5,000 off of this. Okay, so that's this. You're going to make about $5,000 off of this whole thing, which means you can't pay more than $1,000. Not going to make a ton of profit. This is going to take a while to do. How you sell this is, again, how you break it up. My suggestion would be to do stars. So pick out all the Hall of Famers and put together, again, 25 card team lots or 20 card star lots, and then sell those for $5 or $6 each. Again, the goal is to just sell out the stuff. You're buying it at cheap, you're selling it at another cheap price, but you're moved to sell because you just want to get the cash back. Won't take you that long to make your money back, but it will take a while for you to make the profit. And that's what you need to understand. You want to first be able to make your money back, and then everything else is profit. All right. So let's get into how you do that, because again, how do you sell all this stuff? And this is where social media comes into play. So I have been building my social media account. This YouTube channel is quickly approaching 2,000 subscribers. Again, thank you to everybody that's subscribed. So my Instagram has 250 subscribers. That's what it is so far. Again, thanks to everybody that's followed me over there. But this channel is 2,000. That channel is 250. And as you build your social media, then you can post reels like this.
To the streets, EDI Sports Show. It's about to drop every Friday.
Okay, so that's the kind of thing that you want to be doing on your social media. You want to be basically highlighting the stuff that you're selling on social media. You want to be putting it out there. You want to be saying that it's at that real cheap price, and then you need some place for them to go. Now, my recommendation is to think about the best way to sell stuff. I would use PayPal Goods and Services because that means you're going to have the lowest amount of fees on what you sell. If you send them to an eBay store, you're going to pay a lot more fees on the back end. Again, you can build your reputation through social media that people are doing deals with you. And if nobody has a problem, again, negativity is the issue. People are not going to go out there and say anything negative against you if you do exactly what you do. So no news is actually good news. So let's get to the next piece of this strategy in phase 1. All right. Now we're going to cheap slabs and patch cards. Okay. So here is another, again, seller on eBay. This is the junk. This is the patch cards. What you want to do is you want to buy in bulk. Again, we're looking at, for patch cards, you want to spend around $2,500 to $5,000 on patch cards. And the reason is because if you spend more money, you can get them for a lower price. Again, you want bulk and you want them as cheap as possible. Just cheap. Again, cheap. I don't know how else to put this to you. Just get it as cheap as possible. And I mean low. Because what you're going to do is you're going to sell them, again, on the back end, you want to sell them in lots. You want to sell them cheap as well. So maybe even, develop relationships with dealers, other dealers, who want to be able to sell some patch cards. And if you could get a big lot of patch cards, you might be able to pull out a few that are much more valuable. Again, if you buy them in bulk, you'll be able to make back your money, again, off of what you paid just on those more valuable patch, and then the rest of them are profit. That's the key, is you want to be able to make your money back first, and then everything else is profit. That's how you start to expand your money. You have to be strategic, but you can't just buy 1 or 2 patch cards. No, you are not a collector. You're becoming a dealer. You need to buy massive amounts of cards. That's why this lot is something that you should be considering, but you can't pay what they're charging. This person's trying to charge $50 for all of these cards. That's way too expensive. For you, it's way too expensive. And to be honest, this isn't even enough cards. You need 100 more cards out of this lot. So you need this lot plus another lot, and you probably should spend about $30 for everything. And there's a couple cards in here that are probably worth $10 to $20 each, and that's where you want to be charging $10 for all of the patch cards. In that section, you make your money back. That means you've got to sell 3 cards, you make your $30, and then everything else is profit, which means you put them together into lots and you sell them cheap. Again, $5 lots. $5 seems to be sweet spot, okay, for selling lots. So you want to be at $5. So you want to be able to do, like I said, you want to be able to do a whole bunch of cards. So if you could do 10 patch cards for $5, that's the sweet spot. Again, use your social media to let people know what's going on, and that way you'll sell more stuff. Now you got it. This is going to take a ton of work. I am telling you right now, this is going to take a ton of work, but you're already making money. You're making a ton of money. We're not done. We're only in phase 1. This is going to take a lot more work. Now, here are the junk or the cheap slabs, okay? So this is where you need to buy slabs for as cheap as possible. If you can get them for $1, that's awesome. If you can get them for even less than $1, even better. There are a ton of people who unfortunately slab stuff that they didn't know what they were doing. I mean, they've spent so much money on grading and they just wasted it. The cards aren't worth what they thought they were worth. And maybe even the grading costs more than the cards. You want to get the cards as cheap as possible in the slabs because you can sell the slabs for about $5 each. So if you can buy them for $1 or $2, you can sell them for $5 on the back end. That's what you need to be able to do. And you want to do that, again, through social media. So that's how we get there. Now, Here we go. What comes after the patch cards and the junk slab cards? Okay, so now we're going to do a strategy that I want you to do, because this is going to show you why this is the wrong thing to do. Because this is going to show you why you don't want to be buying one card. So here's the Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. card, the PSA 10. Now, you'll be able to make money if you can buy it for $1,000. Now, there will be someone who will sell it for $1,000. Absolutely, there will be someone who will sell it for $1,000. And you can make about $600 on that. Now, it's going to take you forever to actually make money on this. Much better strategy. I'm going to tell you this right now. A much better strategy for Ken Griffey Jr. Upper Deck rookie cards is ungraded if you can buy them for less than $30 each. So if you can find someone that has a lot of Upper Deck 89 ungraded cards, just buy as many as you can for under $30. As many as you can. And then put a lot together at about $50 each. Put a whole lot together at $50 each. You're going to make $20 per card. Now that's a much better strategy, but it's going to be difficult. This is not going to be easy because people have one card. So again, you want to stay away from people who only have one card. This strategy is not going to work. None of this is going to work if you talk to people who only have one card of each, people who don't have bulk, people who don't have hordes. You want to find the people who have hordes of cards. They just have too many cards, they don't know what to do with them, and they have no way of selling them. That's where you want to come in and say, look, I'll give you X amount of cash and I'll take away your bulk. I will take away your horde. You won't ever have to deal with it ever again. And hopefully, people are starting to recognize you don't want a horde. I'm sorry that you wasted all your money on these cards. I'm sorry, but that's not someone else's fault. That's your fault. Take the cash, don't waste your money again, and start just buying specific cards that you want to keep and build a PC. You're not a museum. You're not the East Coast version of Burbank Sports Cards. You're not the West Coast version of Cards HQ. Your job is not to collect as many cards as you can. Your job is to just do a PC that you care about. All right. Now that we did that, let's get to the next section, which is the logo fractors, okay? And I said spend about $5,000. Because logo fractors are worth more than other cards. And just the reason why is because they're a limited set run, and also because Topps charges a tremendous amount of money for these boxes. It's ridiculous. But in the current state of the hobby, these cards are worth more. And so what you can see is this is from 2023. So these are the Topps logo fractors. And if you can get a lot of these cards, again, you want to buy them cheap. That's the strategy here. Like, you need to find someone that's got a ton of cards and they just want to move the cards. And you're offering them real cash because you will be able to sell them on the back end. Again, you want to do lots. This is perfect for social media with lots of logo fractors. Absolutely. And you want to do $5 or $10 lots. Again, you got to put the value together. You really want to have, okay? So you really want to have a whole bunch of cards, okay? So you want people to see 1, 2, 3, 4. You want them to see a ton of cards for $5 or a ton more cards for $10, and you'll be able to sell them. Remember, the goal is to make your money back. So I would start with spending $1,000 on logo fractors. Get a whole bunch. I mean, I'm talking like 1,000 logo fractors for $1,000. Anybody that doesn't sell that kind of stuff, some people hold on to cards. I don't know why. People hold on to cards thinking that they're just going to be worth more in the future. Not happening. There's too many cards in the market. Sell your cards. If you have a hoard, sell your cards. If somebody's offering you $1,000 for 1,000 cards, literally take it. I don't know why you're waiting. You're not going to make that $1,000 on your own. Stop dreaming. Like, if you made $1,000, how come you haven't made it already? These are 2023 logo fractor cards. So clearly this person hasn't sold them yet. We're at the end of 2024. So stop waiting. Stop dreaming like, oh, I'm going to sell them and I'm going to make a ton of money. You're not making any money. All you're doing is creating a hoard in your house. Stop doing that. Let's get to the $1,000 value cards. So we're going to do the autos. So let's do the autos first. All right. So here's another set or a lot from eBay. And these are the auto cards, okay? So you can see, like, all right, this is a lot, pretty good. Nobody spectacular, nobody specific. I'll show you, like, here's a whole bunch of ungraded auto cards. Now, these are not for sale. I'm going to say that right now because I'm actually going to get them graded. I'm going to get them authenticated. I'm actually going to do, JSA just did a new deal with CGC. They're authenticating now cards in slabs. So PSA now has a competitor, and I'm going to go to CGC. Now, here you go. We've got a whole bunch, so I'm going to show you these. We've got a Roger Clemens, so that had a 20K, so he put 20K as a inscription. This is a Jean Rattel for the Rangers. Here's a Brian Leach. Oops. And then an Adam Graves behind him. Another Clemens. That's with an MVP. This is a Frank Thomas. This is a Steve Carlton. Here's a Carl Yastrzemski. Here's an Al Leiter. Here's a Gaylord Perry with George Brett on the bench. Here's a Mark McGuire. A Pete Rose, and Pete, the Hit King, just passed away, so these are big ones. Okay, so Pete Rose. Here's a Reggie Jackson. Here's an Andre the Cat Dawson. Here's an Eric Davis. And this one is for my personal collection. I was a huge Jeffries fan, and I actually met him, and so he signed a whole bunch of stuff for me. So this is his minor league card, and so that one's going in the PC. So my point being is these autos are worth, some of them are going to be worth like a pretty decent amount of money. Like this one, if I get it slabbed, is going to be worth around $100. I mean, that's pretty good. Now, ungraded, what is this worth? I would say if you pay $30 for this, you're getting a good deal. So if you can spend less than $30 on it, again, that's what you want to do. But my point being is you're probably not going to find a lot of these. What you're going to find is what was here on the screen. So these cards, these auto cards, you want to pay as little as possible. Again, you want to talk to somebody that's got a ton of them and they want to move product. Somebody that does not have a whatnot account, that's not on and not selling constantly, they don't know how to move this stuff. And there's a lot more people in this hobby that don't know how to sell. That's where you can fill in the gap. There's a gap right now in the selling process in the hobby. There's a ton of people that buy stuff, but not a lot of people that sell stuff. And that's why there's an opportunity. If you can fill in that gap on the sales side, you can make money. You can actually make more money than you realize, but you got to be able to go and talk to people that have a ton of cards and they don't know what to do with them. Now, most of my audience are card hoarders, just like I was. I accumulated 8 million cards because I was a teenage sports card dealer from the age of 13 to 18, and I accumulated 8 million cards. That's a hoard. I mean, there's no other way to put it. That is a legitimate hoard. So the question to you have to figure out is, do you have a hoard? And do you want to start getting rid of most of your cards? Not because you don't like the hobby. I'm not trying to get you out of the hobby. What I'm trying to do is make you enjoy the hobby more. You can't enjoy a hobby when you start living in a hoard. It's just too much. You need to pare your cards down. You need to pare down the stuff that you have so that you can appreciate it. I've been unpacking boxes and I put stuff up that I love to display on this bookcase right here behind me. And you can see I've got a picture of Fred McGriff that I took at the 1992 All-Star game. Okay, that was in San Diego. So I took that photo. I've got a Braves license plate. That's from 1993 when I covered spring training with the Atlanta Braves. I was embedded into their team as a reporter in college, and I got to cover the Atlanta Braves for 2 weeks during spring training. So again, that's something that's meaningful to me. These are pieces of memorabilia that aren't worth a lot of money, but they're meaningful to me. And that's my point is, I will sell this Roger Clemens because Roger Clemens is not meaningful to me. But like I said, this card is meaningful to me. Okay, so this card is meaningful to me because of the fact that this is part of my childhood. I met Greg Jeffries. I took a ton of photos of him when I went to Shea Stadium. Not only that, but I had got them developed when I met Greg, and he asked me if I would send his mom one of my photos because it was unbelievable. And he even signed it to mom, love your son. And I mailed it to her for him. Again, that's my point, is that you have to understand what you value, what you think is important for you, and then you move forward. All right, let's get to the last piece of phase one. So these are the $1,000 cards, and so here's what I've done is I've gone to eBay, and these are the listings from the $1,000 of the last, week. So here you go. You got Shohei. You got a vintage card for Johnny Bench. This is another Shohei. Here we go. We've got, this is the Johnny Bench one. Then you got a Shohei and another Shohei. As you can tell, Shohei is the man right now. Again, 50-50, first time in the history of Major League Baseball. He is the hottest player ever. And I am going to say this, and this is not going out on a limb. Basically, Shohei Ohtani is the Ken Griffey Jr. of this generation. That's it. Shohei is going to forever, unless there's some kind of drug scandal or, sex scandal, Shohei is the man and will be for the next 50 years. So if you want to make major money, Shohei is the way to go. But be careful because you don't want to overpay. So all of those cards were around $1,000. So here's the strategy. If you can pay 70% of comps, so if a card's selling for $1,000, if you can pay $700, you're going to make 30% on all of those cards. And that's the point. Okay? That's how it is. That's a 30% margin. That's it. Again, I want you to diversify. I want you to do all of these different things because of the fact that you want to be around the hobby. You want to be around the market. You don't want to be too heavily invested in bulk or in slabs or in patches or in logo fractors. You want to be diversified because things are going to sell faster than others. And you want to just be making the money back. So whatever you spent, you want to be making that money back. And then you just want to have profit coming on the back end. And you will eventually make this money back. Now, here's the next piece. This is the big collection piece. This is where you start acting like, chasing cardboard, where you buy a big collection. Now, you're only going to have enough money to do this once in phase one. That's the key. You're only going to have enough money to do this once in phase one. And I want you to slow down. Understand, I've shown you a whole bunch of things. This is diversification at its best. So you're going to make money on the back end. You're going to make your money back. And this is the next strategy. You want to do big collections. You can only buy one big collection. I'm saying allocate about $10,000. So this is how you want to evaluate a collection. Now remember, use your social media to kind of get out there and say, I'm buying a big collection. I want collections that are 10,000 cards or more. And you want to be able to get people to contact you. If you have 10,000 cards or more that you want to sell, contact me and let me know. And then you can walk through it with them. Again, with social media, especially like Instagram or even using Snapchat, you can just video it and just say, look, I'm going to get on video with you. I want you to show me what you got. You don't have to travel. You don't have to, you have to see the cards before you get there. And if somebody just want to do that, then they're probably a scammer. End of story. Honest people are not going to hide their cards. Honest people are not going to hide their cards. So you want to deal with honest people, and that's my point. All right. Next is you want to look at a card collection that's valued at about $25,000 or more. And the reason is because you can only spend 10. So you have to get the margin there because you're going to need room. So if the PC, like let's say the lot you're going to buy, the collection you're going to buy is worth $25,000, you need that $5,000 like leeway there because you're not going to make max. You're just not going to make max. Again, no one's going to buy 100% of comps. You need to understand that. So when you value it at 100%, it's $25,000. You got to bring it down at $5,000 because that's automatically your max. You're not going to make $25,000. You're going to make max is $20,000. That means that you can't really offer more than 10. You can't offer more than 10 because you're not going to make the money back. That's the point. So when you understand the metrics, and you need to explain this to someone that's selling it and say, look, this is what I can do. I'm the one that's going to take the risk. I'm going to be the one that's going to take all the time, and I'm the one that's going to get the value out. If you want to do that, that's fine. Now, basically a collection that's 10,000 cards or more, depending on what it is, if it's ungraded, it's going to take longer to sell. If it's graded, it depends on what era or what players there are. There are some players that sell real quick, like a Shohei Ohtani, and then there are some players that do not sell very quick, like most everybody else. And that's the point, is you need to understand who are the players in this lot. And once you understand that, is this going to be a quick sale or a long sale? And if it's a long sale, you need to now start lowering the price. And this is why. Because it's going to take time, and time is money. So you need to be able to make your money back. So if you spend $10,000, you've got to make that $10,000 back within the first 3 months. You have to. Otherwise, it's not worth it. So that's why, honestly, you should be thinking about, well, if I need to make $10,000 back, what are the things that are going to make me the $10,000? And those need to be the quick sales. So you need to be adding it all up. Okay, I can sell that, I can sell that, I can sell that, I can sell that. That's going to add to my $10,000, and then everything else is profit. And that's how you can basically determine, okay, I can spend $10,000 because I know I'm going to make my $10,000 back on these cards. Let's say 50 cards, 100 cards in 3 months. So you get your money back, and then you're going to take the time to get as much value you can from the other cards. And that's also why you can sell the rest of the stuff for less than what you might have sold it for in the beginning. That's why that $25,000, max isn't $25,000. It's actually $20,000. Again, I understand from a collector's standpoint, they're going to be like, well, but it's worth $25,000. Yeah, but what it's worth is not what you can sell it for. Max value is not what you can sell it for. And that's what you need as a dealer or as a seller need to understand. And you need to explain that to collectors. You need to explain that to buyers. If you want to be good and ethical in this hobby, you have to explain that to collectors, that the max value is not what you can sell it for. The max value is what it's worth. And then you set your price off max value. So, let's say, I don't know, we got the Thurman Munson cards again. So let's say this card is worth $10. Okay? So that's max value. So what can I sell it for? Well, I can sell it for $7 or $8. That's the point. If its max value is 10, I can only sell it for 7 or 8. If it jumps up in value, let's say this goes to $20, max value, then I can sell it for 17 or maybe $18. Probably 17 is pretty much where I could sell it. If it's worth 20, I could sell it for 17. And that's the point, is you need to understand what the max value is, and then you come down to the sale price. Max value, sale price. That's how this all works. That's how this all works. All right, let's get to the next piece of this strategy, which is sealed cases. All right, understand there's a ton of stuff in this phase 1 strategy, and we're not even through. We got 4 phases. So I understand if you're like, oh my God, this thing is ridiculously huge. I said from the beginning, this is a deep dive into how you can build a $1 million PC. And I'm not joking. I'm going through it all for you. So take notes, press pause, hit save, put a like on this one. If you like it, share it with everybody. I want to thank everybody for being a subscriber. I'm almost at 2,000 subscribers. If you're not subscribed, you got to subscribe now. So let's get to sealed cases. Here we go. So I used to have a ton of sealed cases. This is actually a picture that I took. Well, this is actually after I sold half of my sealed cases. So this is just one picture of the sealed cases I had left in the second deal that I did of sealed cases. What I want everybody to understand is the way that the hobby used to work. This is back in the day, and some people have put comments on that they couldn't believe some of the metrics. Like I bought, I bought Greg Jeffrey rookie cards. Hold on. I bought these cards for about 5 cents each, okay? And people were like, no, you didn't. Well, I mean, seriously, I know what I paid for them. I don't know what you paid for them. And I also know what I sold them for. And like I said, back in the day, so this card actually was worth way more. I sold this card for about $4 to $5. So I paid about 5 cents. I sold it for 4 or 5. This one was the biggest card ever. Now I showed you, I think it was last week, I showed you the Fleer card, which if I can find it. Yeah, here we go. I had the Fleer card. So here's the 2 Fleer Jeffreys. So these cards were about, again, 5-10 cents each. This one was actually more expensive. This is the 89 Fleer, and because Jeffries had already been hot, and so the second, they just jacked this up. And I wasted a lot of money because I did not sell a lot of these cards. I could sell them for about $1, but I didn't sell all that many and I wasted a lot of money on that. But this one did not sell very well either. This was not a very popular card. This was the card. If you had this card, that was the hot card. The Donruss rated, the Donruss rookie card. And that's because Topps didn't come out with their rookie, Greg Jeffries, until 89. So 88 was really Donruss's year for that card, and that one was selling like hotcakes. Again, like I said, I sold it for like $4 or $5 each. I spent about 10 cents a piece, so I made a ton of money on that one. Again, not a lot. But what I want to make clear is that the prices for stuff back in the day. So what I paid for these cases that you can see right here was not what you could buy them for. So I paid about, I'd say about $100 per case. About. Some were less, some were a little more, but pretty much I paid that much for each case. And I had a ton of cases. How much I paid for an Upper Deck, baseball case was around a few $100s. And you would pull out, there were like 2 Ken Griffey's per box, and there were 20 boxes in a case. So I could pull out, if I opened up a whole case, I could pull like 40 Ken Griffey Jr. cards. And I was selling them for $200 each. Right, 1 card for $200. I only paid a couple $100 for the entire case. So it was well worth it to open up a case and then just pull out 40 Ken Griffey's. So I had bought like 15 sealed 89 Upper Deck cases, and I kept 6 sealed. I didn't open them because at some point you just don't need that many cards. And again, yes, the Ken Griffey was selling, but again, I didn't need, there was just so much. You can't sell everything. Even a Ken Griffey, I couldn't sell it all because you only can sell a certain amount at a card show, because otherwise what happens is you start undercutting your own sales. So what would happen is I would go to a show, and before the show would even start, I'd sell basically all of my Ken Griffey's except for like 1 or 2 to the dealers at $200 each. And then I would sell it to the public for $250, because the dealers were trying to sell them for $300 to $400. So I was undercutting them by $50. And because I knew they were going to be selling at $300, I could sell my 2 at $250. And that's how I was making a ton of money. Again, what you're saying is, well, why didn't I just sell them all at $250? The reason is because not that many people were going to walk in to buy a Ken Griffey. What I wanted to do was sell bulk to the dealers. So one dealer would basically buy like 10 for $200 each to $2,000. I haven't even started the day, and I've already got $2,000 in my pocket. That's a great way to start a show. And then I sell the other 2 for $250. That's $500. So I just made $2,500 on 1 card, and now I'm out of Ken Griffey's, which is fine. It's totally fine, because only 1 or 2 other people would ever come to my table and say, hey, do you have any Ken Griffey's? And I'd be like, I sold out. Only 1 or 2. Remember, I sold 10 at the beginning of the show. So I sold way more than I ever would have sold at the show, because I was like, you know what? Let me take the cash. And some of you are trying to be too greedy. Stop being greedy. Just sell your cards. Anyway, my point being is you want to buy these cases in bulk. You want to spend about $100 a case. Yes, go and buy these cases. Sealed cases. Go get them in bulk. But you're going to need a storage unit. You're going to need a garage. You're going to need some place to put them. And my suggestion would be to have like 20 to 30 cases that you only spent about $100 each, because you're going to be able to sell those for double to a dealer, for double, or to a card shop. You're going to be able to sell them for double. And the reason that someone should sell them to you is because you're the distribution. And you need to tell that to the person. You need to say, are you going to drive them around to sell them? These are heavy. Are you going to do all that work? And when the person goes, no, I don't, you're not going to ship them. You can't ship a case. It costs too much. So you got to tell them, look, are you going to put it in the car? You're going to drive it someplace? Are you going to sell it? Are you going to move the product? Because you have to move this case in order to sell it. You have to physically move it. Are you going to physically move it? And just say to them, how much would you give me for me to move this to someplace else to sell it? You'd probably give me $20 per case. Or if it's like 50 cases, you'd probably give me like $150, $200 to move all this stuff for you, just to physically move it. So think about it. Take that off the price that you're trying to sell them for, and we get to about $100 a case. I'm going to give you the cash. So you're not paying me to move them for you. I'm giving you money for me to take them away so that you don't have to deal with them anymore. See, you got to understand what people don't understand. And that's the point. You have to understand what people don't understand. You have to know what collectors don't get. Why are you holding on to bulk? Stop doing that. Sell it now. Now's the time to sell. From now through the end of the year, sell it now. Don't wait, because on the back end, when the economy really starts to go down in the wrong direction, you're going to be left with stuff and you're not going to be able to get $100 per case. Now you're going to get $50 per case. So sell it now. The market is still robust. The market is still healthy. But for everybody that's looking at me going, well, but you just said it's going to come down. Yeah, it's going to come down. But you're only spending $100 per case. Don't worry. Don't worry. This is my point. My point is, make the money back that you spent, and then the rest is what you wait. The rest is what you go, okay, I will sell it as I go, because it's pure profit at that point. All right? So here's the wrap up of phase one. We started with $50,000, and now you have $182,000 that you have just made. You have literally tripled your money. And I know you're going to be like, whoa, really? Yes. Go back through phase one. You will see all of the numbers, and you will see that you literally tripled your money. So this is only phase one, because again, you want to get to $1 million, and we're not even into buying cards yet. We're just into making your seed money, because you need seed money to get to $1 million PC. You can't just go from $50,000 to $1 million in one shot. It's not going to work. This is 4 phases. So this is the end of phase one. Now let's get to phase two. Let's take a look at phase two and what it entails. So as we can see this big list, it's mostly the same. And as you can see, this is what phase two is. So we still got the junk wax, cheap slabs, auto cards, patch cards, $1,000 cards, big collections, sealed cases. We took away the Ken Griffey Jr. card because I told you that's just not a very good strategy. But then there's one more thing that we want to include in this whole map. As you can see, the whole map, and that is vintage complete sets. So that's what's new in phase two. And again, in phase two, it's all about creating money that you can use to buy cards. We're not going to buy cards until phase three. That's what I want you to understand. This is a huge deep dive. 4 phases to build your collection to $1 million PC. We're starting with $50K and we're moving forward. We already have $182,000. This is what's going to get us to the next level, and that's when you're going to be able to start buying cards at a better value than what you're doing right now. So the vintage sets really comes down to, and this is all from eBay. So you can actually see these sets right now on eBay, and this is what my suggestion would be. So go to the 1955 Topps Complete set. This is a listing right now. They are listing it for $6,900. To be quite honest with you, this specific set, because of some of the damage to the cards, this specific set is probably worth about $5,000. So that's not that far, $1,900. If you could negotiate with them and buy it for $5,000, you actually would be getting a deal. The reason why is because you're not going to keep this set together. What you're going to do is you're going to pull out all of the stars. You're going to get them graded, and then you're going to sell them off. You're going to make your $5,000 back, and then you're going to have X amount left over that you're going to be able to sell the rest of the cards. Now, how much do I think you could make off of this set at $5K? I think you can make a couple grand. That's about it. Now, maybe you get lucky and maybe you make a little bit more than that, but that's what I would say. You're going to make about a couple grand. Now let's go to the 1956 Topps set. So this one is being sold at $7,100. Again, not in the condition that it's in. These are ungraded cards. Again, not in the condition that they're in. This set is probably worth maybe $4,500. Again, in the condition that it's in, So this is where you need to have that money that we got from phase one. Remember, we have $181,000, $82,000 at our disposal now. We've moved it up from 50 to 180. And so now you're going to start deploying that cash in much more strategic ways. Buying a complete set that's ungraded. Again, you want to look at the condition of the cards and then figure out, okay, how much could I sell each of these cards for? Remember, you want to be able to make your money back. So if you offer $4,500, you want to look specifically for how can I make that $4,500 back as fast as possible within 3 months. You do not want to be holding on to stuff that you're in money for more than 3 months. So you want to only have profit after that. So you want to look at, well, there's a couple cards. There's Clemente, there's Aaron, there's Mays, and there's Mantle in this set. So the question is, can you make $4,500 on just those players? Can you make $4,500 on just those players? And if you can, that's why you want to offer $4,500 for this set, because the rest of the set doesn't really have high-end superstars. That's it. Those are the only cards that are really, really valuable. And so the question is, if you can't make $4,500 on those cards, then the set's not worth that much. The 55 set is worth more than the 56 set. Again, based on the condition here, I don't think that these cards are going to be worth, $5,000 each. Not based on the condition if you get it graded. I don't think so. I think, though, you can get probably about $1,500 to $2,000 out of what these cards are graded, potentially. So you can make that money back, but you're going to be able to make, again, maybe a couple grand on selling these cards off. And this is kind of the hobby, is that some people put sets together and some people break sets apart. And you're going to be the one who breaks sets apart. That's right. You're going to buy complete sets and then break them apart. You're going to sell them off individually to make your money back. And that's how you're going to do this. All right. Let's get to this next piece of phase two, which is different. Now, remember, in phase one, I talked about that you only buy one collection because you don't have enough money to buy multiple collections. But this is in phase two, where you actually become like a mini chasing cardboard, and you're going to buy 3 separate collections. You're going to look at trying to get another small end collection that's worth around 25 to 30K. You're going to spend 15. The next one is going to be worth between 40 to 50K. You're going to spend 20. And then the last collection, you want to find something that's worth about $60,000 to $75,000, and you're going to spend $30,000. Again, you want to get it as best a deal as you possibly can, but this is what you're looking at. And these are 3 different size, obviously, collections. I mean, unless you're looking at a collection that has, a Michael Jordan 86 Fleer rookie card, a PSA 10, well, that card is worth 100K. So everything else, it's kind of relative. So you're not at that level yet. You're not at the level of buying that kind of a collection, because that card is worth 100,000, and no one is going to sell that card plus their whole collection for less than, let's say, 80K. Maybe even less than 100K, because that card is worth 100. But again, this is where you have to be careful when you have a card of that high value, is that's when people they lose track of numbers. So you're not in that category in phase two. You're not looking at a collection that has a card that's worth $100,000. You're looking at a collection where cards are worth between $500 to maybe like $5,000 each. Again, you stack them up, and that's how you start to get the value. Now, somebody is going to be like, well, I have 20 cards at $5,000 each, and so that's $100,000, and they're going to want $100,000 from you. If that's the case, literally tell them, why don't you sell them then? Why are you talking to me? And that's what you need to push back. You need to just say, and you don't need to be rude, you don't need to be obnoxious about it. You just need to say, if the cards are worth $100,000, why don't you sell them yourself? Why are we sitting here? Why am I looking at this collection? And that's why you have to get the answer. And they have to give you a legit answer. If they don't have a good answer, then you just have to say to them, again, on the phone, don't go there, don't go to their house, don't waste your time. Just legitimately say, I don't understand why you're talking to me. I buy collections, not in the business of buying one card. I'm not in the business of buying 5 cards. I'm in the business of buying collections. If you want to move your collection, let me know. And you can even say, look, I'll buy the whole collection. If you want to keep one of those cards, keep one. I mean, that's fine with me. I'll buy the rest. You keep the one that you like the most. That will be the one that you keep in your PC, and I'll buy everything else. So if it's worth $100K, again, if you're saying that each of the cards are worth $5,000 and they have 20 of those, so that's $100K. And so you're like, okay, well, keep one. First of all, I don't think that I can get $5,000 for all of these cards. I understand that's max value, but I probably could only get maybe $3,500 for them. So you're already down, only down $15,000. So it's already down, and you took out 5, so that's 20. So you're down to 80. And then from there, you have to say, well, I can't pay what I'm going to make. Again, this is where people have to understand. If you're selling to a dealer, they have to make profit. I can only make $3,500 per card because they're only worth 5. If they were worth 6, I can make 4. So again, based on max value, I need to be in a place where I can sell them. So that's where you have to understand as a collector that your price has to be off of max value. So if you're selling to a middleman, which is a dealer, then you have to back it off even more. If you're selling to the end user, the customer or the collector, that's when you can sell for 70, 80% of comps. That's what I did. That's why when I became a dealer at card shows, and I've done 3 card shows in the last 3 years, so when I was behind the table, I could sell for 75 to 80% of comps. And people were buying because it was a deal. They were like, oh, and in some cases I was selling for 70% of comps. So people were like, wow, I'm getting a huge deal at this table because you could buy from me and you could probably make another 5% off of those cards. So if it's a $100 card, that's not bad. If it's a $200 card, you're making a little bit of money on the back end. And that's the point, is that you want to be able to make money. You have to buy it at a certain value. You have to know the values in order to know what to offer. That's this whole game. So phase 2, so let's take a look at phase 2 again. So we've got cheap junk wax, we got cheap slabs, auto cards, patch cards, $1,000 cards, big collection, sealed cases, and then the vintage complete sets. And at the end of phase 2, we have now $250,000, which is exciting because in phase 3, we get to start buying PC cards. This is the exciting part. Now, before we get to phase 3, I want to take a break and let's do the card of the week. This week's card of the week is the Yogi Berra 1955 Topps card. Yogi Berra played 19 seasons with the New York Yankees and 1 season with the Mets from 1946 to 1965. The Hall of Famer was a 10-time World Series champion, 18-time All-Star, and a 3-time AL MVP. I hope you're enjoying this video so far. This is the deep dive. There's 4 phases to this, and if you are looking to either buy or sell cards, I created a Google form for you, so go hit the description below. Answer either one of those Google forms. Again, if you're selling or buying, and please hit the subscribe button and share this video with other people. And now let's get to phase 3. Welcome to phase 3, and this is where we start to actually buy cards for our PC. So the first thing I want to do is I want to look at the map. Basically, here's the overview. Let's go through. This was phase 1. We get to 182, then we go to phase 2. Follow that through, we now have 251, and now we're moving over to phase 3. And so what we can see here is that phase 3 starts with trades. And the reason why is because we've accumulated a whole bunch of cards. Remember, the key is to make your money back, everything you spent in the first 3 months. So if you buy something for $1,000, you need to make the $1,000 back within the first 3 months. As soon as you buy it, you got to make the $1,000 back. Then everything else is profit. So you're doing that on every single deal you make. However much money you spend, you make it back within 3 months. You have to make that money back in 3 months. If you don't, you're spending too much money on the cards. That's just the way it is. And that's how you have to do the metrics. So what's happened at this point is you have a lot of bulk because you've bought probably about $25,000 worth of cards. It's just the way it is. That's what's left over. So now you want to be able to trade that stuff or sell it fast. You want to just be able to just get rid of the stuff. None of this stuff is PC stuff. It's none of it. So get rid of it. Whatever is left over, just trade value. And so if you can do this trade value, basically you want to trade up. You're not going to get that much. I'm just telling you right now. So if you have, let's say you have $7,000 of trade value, you want to be able to get like $8K back. So if you get another $1,000 of stuff that you can sell, great. Don't try to get greedy. Seriously, the obviously thing, the piece is what can you sell? So if you have a whole bunch of bulk and you're like, okay, and this is where taking a trip to Cards HQ or to Burbank Sport Cards or talking to one of these major dealers, this is where you can start to think about like, hey, what will you give me for this stuff? Again, you're not looking for a lot of value back. You're just looking for a little bit more, just a little bit more. And once you do that, then you're there. All right. For phase 3 to work, we're going to go through this whole list. All right. So we've got a lot more big collections. We've got expensive cards. We're still doing vintage sets. And this is where we're adding in authentic jerseys with autos. And again, at the end of phase 3 is when we start buying PC cards. So let's go back to the beginning and let's do the big collections. Now, in phase 2, we talked about how you're buying 3 different collections. You're buying a small collection, a medium collection, and a larger collection. In phase 3, we're actually going to use a different strategy because this is that you don't want to be in the big ocean with chasing cardboard and Cards HQ and all of these dealers that are buying all of these repacks and they're just spending money like water. No, you want to be in a niche that nobody else is in, and that's in the small collection space, okay? So you're going to buy one mid-size collection, one large collection, and then 2 small collections, and that's where you're going to be able to make the most value. So you want to be able to get the first one, I say, so you want to spend 15, and collection is going to be worth about 29 or 30,000. The second one is going to be a $25,000 spend. That means that collection has to be between 48 to 50K. Again, if you can get more value, great, but probably not. And then the other collections, the smaller ones, is really where you get the value because this is where people don't know how to sell. And you're going to come in and basically say, look, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you cash. I'm going to give you cash right up front. I'm going to do all of the risk. I'm going to do all the selling. You're not going to make this much money. Maybe you have 1 or 2 cards. So if you have 1 or 2 cards that are worth, let's say $1,000 each, that's $2,000. And then what are you going to do with the rest of it? So in this scenario, we've got 2 collections. One is worth around 12,000, one's worth around 15, and you're going to offer 5 and 8K. And the reason why is because, again, the only cards that people can actually sell are the quick cards. And that's how you can negotiate and basically say you want to separate out the quick sale cards and determine how much they're worth, because you need to know that up front. So when you separate those out, you go, okay, let's say that the quick sale cards are about 3K. All right, so that's 3K. If you're offering 5, remember that's $2,000 that person is probably never going to make. And that's the point. Yes, the collection is worth more, but they're really only going to make $3K. That's their max because that's the only ones they know how to sell. So the question you have to ask somebody who's selling a collection is, okay, you can sell these cards for $3K. And then what are you going to do with the rest of the stuff? Go ahead. Tell me, what are you going to do with the rest of the stuff? And that's when people go, I don't know. I don't know how to sell it. Yeah, and that's why you're talking to me. So the question is, do you want to sell it all? And you're going to get more than what you could get for those 3 cards. You're going to get more. But yeah, I got to sell the rest of the stuff. And so I'm only going to pay you X amount for the rest of this. And so that's where that's $12,000 or $15,000 collection only gets X amount more. So if the quick sale cards are $3K, that's $3K, great. And then you add on just a little bit more to take the rest of the bulk. And that's where you need to figure out, can I make my X amount back? So the 3 cards are worth $3K, so you sell those, you get your 3 back. Can I find something else to make the $2,000 back within 3 months? If you can't, then it's not worth $5,000. It doesn't matter how much the whole collection is worth. It doesn't matter. If you can't sell it within 3 months, it's not worth that price. That's what you need to understand. So if there's only $1,000 left there you can buy and then sell in 3 months, then it's only worth $4,000. This is how you can start to figure out whether collections are worth it for you to buy, because it depends on what you can sell in the first 3 months. Everything else has to be pure profit. Everything else after the first 3 months has to be pure profit. So it has to be, you have to figure out, what can I make in the first 3 months? What do I know I can sell very quickly within the first 3 months? And that's how you evaluate the collection. So if somebody has a whole bunch of patch cards and a whole bunch of auto cards and a whole bunch of rookies, and you price it all out and you're like, yeah, this is all worth $12,000. Great. How much can you sell within the first 3 months? And that's it. That's what the collection is worth. So if you can sell it for $4,000, it's only worth $4,000. And then the rest of it is all pure profit. So on the $15,000 example, again, off of this graphic, so the $15,000 example, you want to figure out, okay, how much can I make within the first 3 months? And if it has a whole bunch of high-end rookie patch autos, and you're like, oh, I can make $8,000 in the first 3 months, then you offer $8,000. If you cannot, if you can only make $6,000, then you have to offer $6,000. Again, somebody else is going to be like, well, but I could make it. You're like, no, you could probably make $4,000. I could make $6,000 because I have a bigger audience and I have a better understanding of selling. You could only make $4,000. So that's it. You could make $4,000 and then you have everything else to deal with. And no one's going to buy everything else from you unless you get out there and start hustling. Do you want to hustle? Do you want to make the money? Yes, it's worth $15,000 overall. But do you want to do the hustle? Do you want to get out there? Do you want to do all the work? If you don't, that's why you're talking to me. That's why you're talking to a dealer. And you're going to come in and be able to provide value to the collector to say, look, I'm going to give you the cash. You can then use the cash for whatever you want to do with it. You could go buy more cards, or you can use it for other things, other expenses. If you're just like, look, I got to just sell all of these cards. My suggestion always with somebody that I'm buying a collection from is I tell them, what's one card that you want to keep? Just what's one card you want to keep? You're selling everything, I get it, but this is a collection. So what's the one card you want to keep over everything else, and have them pull it out. Then you really get to see how much the collection is really worth. Most of the time, the person pulls out the most valuable card, which makes everything else not so valuable anymore. So when they pull out a $3,000 card, yeah, it's worth $12,000, but it's not. You're not going to spend $8,000 anymore. They already pulled out the $3,000 card. So now maybe you only pay $3,000 for a $12,000 collection. See, this is the point, and this is what you guys need to understand. This is the game. You have to know what things are valued at. All right. Now, we're still going to do expensive cards, which means is basically the $1,000 or more cards, which we did in phase 1 and in phase 2. We're going to do it again in phase 3, but this time we're going to really ramp it up. So this is where you want to go after those rookie patch autos. You want to go after those National Treasure cards. You want to go after those optic rookies with the autographs on them. You want to go after the big name cards like the Kabooms. You want to go after those. Again, remember, you need to be at good margins. So we're looking at if you spend 50, you're going to make 82,000. We're not talking 50% anymore. Now we're looking at 70 to 75% comps because you're going to make some on the back end. You're not making 50%. You're not doubling your money on this. You're just making a little bit extra. This is going to be easier sales though because these are the most popular players and cards. So these should sell much better, but you gotta buy them at the right price. All right, we're gonna still do the vintage sets. Okay, we're gonna spend about $30K on that, and you're gonna make another $20K. Again, you're not doubling your money. You're only making about 40% more. Okay, so this is my point. You're not doubling your money. You're making about 40%. So 30 to 50, and then the next piece you're going to do is you're going to start doing authentic jerseys with autos. And this is where you really get into some of these, like buy a Kobe jersey, buy a Michael Jordan jersey, buy a LeBron jersey, buy a Messi jersey. Again, you want to be targeted. You want to get authentic jerseys with the autos on them, and you want to be spending probably about 60% of comps, and then you want to sell them on the back end, because you're probably only going to sell them for 90% of comps or 85% of comps. So you really need to make sure that you have that little margin in the middle to be able to make your money back. Again, you're gonna do this a number of times, spending 30. So you're gonna buy, maybe jerseys cost like $2 to $3 grand each, maybe $5 grand, and so you're gonna get a whole bunch of them, and you're gonna sell them for, if you spend $3,000, it's got to be worth $5,000. So you're going to sell it for $4,500. So that's that extra $1,500 that you're going to get there. And you start stacking these up. And so at the end of phase 3, you have about $359,000 in a PC.
Wait a second.
Did you catch it? I know you did, because you are a smart subscriber. You know what's going on. You're very astute. And so you caught what I just said. At the end of phase 3, you're going to have $359,000 worth of PC cards. And I know I didn't actually go over that. I just did all the selling piece. And so what I want to do right now is actually go into the buying aspect of phase 3, because this is critical for building a PC that's worth $1 million. We started at the very, very beginning with $50,000 in cash. At this point, we have now sold more than $250,000 worth of product, which means that you have $250,000 worth of cash. And because you're going to deploy $200,000 of cash back into your PC, your goal is to use the $200,000 to get about $350,000 worth of stuff. And this is the point. So if you have $250,000 in cash, now's the time where you can actually say, okay, I want to go and buy a Michael Jordan PSA 10 rookie card that's worth about $100. So you want to be able to pay $80. Well, now you just made $30,000. So that's how you go from 80 to 100. See, you're starting to use the money that you can then get better deals. Now, I wouldn't recommend buying one card. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend that. What I would do is I'd go to a card show with, again, significant amount of money. I'd go with like $40K in cash, and I'd go to a dealer's table and I'd start picking out a whole bunch of stuff. Again, I would try to put on the glass table, okay, so that's the case, put on the glass case, put down a $15,000 worth of cards, and then offer $10,000. See what happens. Again, dealers who are dealing with that kind of number, like again, cash number, they're going to start to be like, okay, you know what's $10,000 in cash? All right, what's my bottom line? And that's how you're going to start to extract more value out of your PC, because you're now spending a significant amount of money. So if you do that every single time, if you can get $15,000 worth of PC for 10 grand, you see how you're starting to really build more value into your PC? So that's where you also want to maybe even stretch it and say, okay, what if I pay $15,000? Can I get 22 or 25,000 worth of value for the cash? And you will see that at the larger price points, again, if you're spending that much money and you're putting in 10, 20, 30 cards on a dealer's table, see, they're starting to go, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'll take a little bit less here. Maybe I'm making more on this card. I'll take a little less on this card. Because again, the dealer is looking at their total volume and they're looking at their total sales, and they want to make profit. They want to make as much money as they possibly can in the shortest amount of time. You, with $10,000, $15,000 in cash, is a really good buyer. They want to deal with you. They would rather deal with you for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, because $10,000 or $15,000 in cash really makes their day. Automatically, that makes their day. So that's the point, is you have much more negotiating power with the more cash that you have. If you bring $1,000 to a show, you're not really going to get that much value. Maybe if you have $1,000 and you're dealing with a lot of like $50 and $100 cards, yes, you're going to be able to get more value that way, because now you can buy maybe like $1,200 or $1,300 worth of cards for $1,000. So you're going to get an extra $200 to $300 of cards for $1,000. But you want to do way more than that. That's why you want $10,000 or $15,000 in cash, because you want to be able to get, for $10,000, you want to get $15,000 of cards. For $15,000 in cash, you want to get $20,000, $25,000 in card value. This is how it works. I know that I'm not giving you specific cards because I don't know what you guys want to buy. So if you want to put down some suggestions, go ahead, put it down in the comments below. What are the cards that you're looking for? What are the cards you're trying to buy? Now, I did a Google form. Obviously, you can fill that out. What are the cards you're looking to buy? That would be helpful, because I will be able to collect the data of all the cards that you're looking to buy, put it down, put it in the Google form, and then I can go and do other videos with, okay, these are all the cards that people want to buy. This is the strategy to buy those cards. How do you get more value for these cards? What's the kind of cash offers that you need to do? That's how this works. But at the end of phase 3, again, remember, there's 4 phases, because you are nowhere near, like I said, this is $359,000 worth of PC cards. That's not $1 million. We're still off. We're still not there yet. And so that's my point, is that you're going to have about $50,000 in cash left. You're going to have $359,000 worth of cards, because you're going to buy all these cards, and you're still going to also have some pretty decent cards from the collections that you're buying and from the complete vintage sets. Again, you're going to have stuff from that. If you did the 56 set, and let's say you sold the Mantle, the Clemente, the Mays, and the Aaron, well, you have the Sandy Koufax still there. You could get that graded. That might be worth about $1,000. So that's $1,000 in your PC. You didn't pay anything for it if you sold the other cards and made your money back. It's free. So you just got a $1,000 card in your PC for nothing. And that's the point, is that you need to start buying stuff at a more strategic level so that you can actually make your money back, and then put stuff in the PC and then sell the rest. Start selling all the rest off. Again, start selling your stuff. I know you don't want to sell. I understand that. It's anathema to you. You're like, I do not want to sell anything. I want to be a hoarder. I don't want you to be a hoarder. I want you to enjoy the hobby. I want you to sell your stuff and then keep the stuff that you want and build the value of your PC. Again, if this is what you want to do, you want to build a $1 million PC, this is the way to do it, starting with $50,000. All right, let's get to phase number 4. Okay, we have come to the end of this journey. So why don't we do one thing before we do phase 4 and the end of how you build a $1 million PC, and let's do a recap. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go over the fact that there are 4 phases. We've already done 1, 2, and 3. We're now on phase 4. We're going to look at the map. This is how you build a $1 million PC starting with $50,000. And so here's the journey that we took. We started with $50,000. We did the buyback program, bulk cards, all the way down to the big collection. We then had $182,000. And then we go back up to phase 2. And then phase 2 is junk wax. Again, big collection, sealed cases, vintage complete sets. We're at $251,000. And we move over to phase 3. And then phase 3 is we start with the trades. We do more big collections. Then we do expensive cards, authentic jerseys with autos, and then we start buying cards, and that's how we get $359,000 worth of PC cards with about $50,000 in cash left over. And so then we move over to phase 4, and this is where we start. Phase 4. So I want to make this very clear. There's 4 phases. We're building a $1 million PC. Here we go. So this is what phase 4 is. All right. So we're going to repeat phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Yes. Phase 4 is just a repeat of phase 1, 2, and 3. So let's do a recap again. Phase 1 is this. It's the buyback, bulk commons, cheap junk wax, cheap slabs, patch cards, 89 Fleer Griffey, but we're going to throw those out, okay? Logo fractors, $1,000 cards, autos, big collections, and sealed cases. Then we go to phase 2, which is the cheap wax, cheap slabs, auto cards, patch cards, $1,000 cards, big collections, and sealed cases. And then we move to phase 3, which is the trades, big collections, expensive cards, vintage complete sets, and again, the authentic jerseys with autos. And at the end of phase 3, again, we buy another $359,000 of cards, and we have $50,000 of cash. And so at the end of phase 4, this is where we are, all right? $750,000 worth of cards in our PC, and we have about $50,000 left. Now, again, we're talking about building a $1 million PC, and we're not there. And we just did this twice. So as you can see, there is no get rich quick scheme here. This is not going to take a year. This is going to take multiple years. You're going to be doing this for a while, which is why the hobby is so much fun, because it just never ends. Like, if you really want to build a PC of tremendous value and you want to do all of this, this is going to take a long time, maybe 10 years, maybe 20 years, to do all of these different phases over time to make your money back and to build a PC of value. So, like I said, after phase 4, this is what it is, 750. And so then how to do phase 5, which is the last phase. You now need to repeat again, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and guess what happens? You then reach the goal. $1 million PC, because we're adding another $350,000 to the PC, and you're now over $1 million in value because you're already at 750. So at 750, you only need 250. You're at 350, so you're at 1.1 million in your PC, and you have cash left over. But I mean, I don't know what you want to do at this point. I mean, you built a $1 million PC. I mean, you won the game. You did it. Congratulations. I want to thank everybody for joining me. I'm going to do a shortened version of viewer comments just because I wanted to make sure that I get all the comments off the last video, which was unbelievable, guys. Like 2,000 people watched this video within a couple days. Unbelievable. I want to thank everybody. Again, this channel has been growing. It's all thanks to you. You are the impetus. You are the ones that are making this happen. I just put out the videos, but you guys are watching them, so I appreciate it. So here we go. Let's get to the viewer comments. It is time for the viewer comments. I know this video was long, but I want to thank everybody for staying with me. If you want to make a comment, this is the time to do it now. Put your questions down, put your comments. We're going to get to a whole bunch of comments from the last video, the second part of this series, what was the $50,000 mistake? And so let's get to the first comment. This comes from Card Connection 4322, and he says, biggest mistake was buying Trey Lance around draft day, lost about 1K. Please make your videos more concise and briefer, less than 1 hour for 5-10 minutes of content, too much fluff and repeats. Look, I'm sorry that it's too long for you, but just watch what you want to watch and then click out. Like, that's the beauty of YouTube. I try to do a deep dive into everything. It's not concise because, again, I'm not preaching to you. Like, I'm not telling you this is what you need to do. I'm telling you based on my 40 years experience, based on my knowledge, based on my expertise, this is what I think should happen. So if you don't like somebody who's speaking honestly, like authentically, then go find somebody else on YouTube who's a lot more scripted and a lot more polished. I do the best that I can based on the fact that I'm speaking the truth. If you don't like it, again, I appreciate you being here, and I love the comment. That's actually what I love, is I love that you said, hey, I lost $1,000 on Trey Lance. Yes, that was a mistake. But, taking a pot shot at the end, just unnecessary. And we can do better. You can do better. All right, let's get to the second comment, and this is from Joseph Peprock, 5998, and he says, awesome advice. Keep speaking the truth. The hobby needs to hear more truth instead of chasing unrealistic dreams. I want to thank you very much. I am trying to do my best. It's all I can do. These videos take me a ton of time and effort. And so I appreciate everybody that has been a subscriber. Again, we're close to 2,000 subscribers. So you guys are the ones that made this channel possible. Let's get to the next comment. Here we go. This is from 531. Wait a minute. Is that a play on from Jeff Wilson? So hold on a second. So how did you become a Kraken fan? All right. So I want to set the record straight. I am a New York Rangers fan. I'm not changing my allegiance, but in sports, you can have secondary and tertiary teams that you sort of favor, I guess. And the only reason why that I have an affinity for the Kraken is because of Jaden Schwartz. So here's his rookie card. Jaden Schwartz has the same last name as me. And I don't know about you, but there aren't that many Jews in hockey. Just the way it is. And there's never been a Schwartz in hockey before, and Jaden was the first. Now, here's the thing. I don't like the St. Louis Blues. It's not one of the original six. Again, the New York Rangers are an original six team. St. Louis is part of the expansion of the NHL, but again, I don't like the Blues. So when he went to Seattle, I was like, all right, I'm getting a Schwartz jersey. There you go. I can root for the Kraken because they have no historical issues with the Rangers, and it's just fine. It's on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. Now I'm sort of closer to Seattle. I've already been to a game in Seattle. It was great. Again, the arena in Seattle, and Seattle itself is a wonderful city. So if you haven't been, I highly recommend you go. All right, let's get to the next comment. This one is from Collecting Cardboard, and this one is a double comment. So I'm going to do the first comment and then the second comment so that you guys can see what I see on my end. And this is where it gets funny. All right, so I'm going to give you the first comment, and then I'm going to give you the second comment, and then I'm going to give you my commentary. All right, so here we go. Here's the first one. So Greg Jeffries was the genesis of my true endeavors into the card collecting world. For me, however, the 1989 Topps Future card, which I'll show you right here, was the launching pad. Long story made short, I remember it as if it were yesterday. In my neck of the woods, New York metro area, the CCP, or current card prices, was the figurative pricing Bible. So that actually, it was card collector prices, I believe, or card purchasing guide. I know the magazine you're talking about. I have it. I saved it. So I know the magazine you're talking about. Anyway, the Jeffries card was priced on the high column at $3 a pop, and they were flying out the shop owner and dealers' cases at the time. That was big money in '89 for any kid to be able to plunk down on the counter for a card straight out of the pack. So I want you to all understand, okay, that's what he said, at $3. And to be honest, the Donruss was going for a little bit more, between $4 and $5, okay? And now I've already said this. So here's, again, another confirmation of proof. Now here's the second comment. This is from Jay Wang from 2449. Love you, but totally not true. Jeffries were $1 each minimum coming out of the packs. Same with Mark Grace. 35 years have gone by. Maybe you can't remember correctly. Those were the high demand coming out of the packs. All right, there you go, folks. This is what I'm talking about. I've got one person who actually knows what happened 35 years ago, and I have another person who's doing what's called psychological projecting. They're putting on me the issue that they're having. They forgot, or maybe they didn't live in the New York area. And I'm going to make this very, very clear. The prices that I'm talking about are New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. That's what I'm talking about. And for everybody else in the country, what you need to understand is there was a ton of money in that area. We're talking Wall Street money. We're talking corporate lawyer money. We're talking about the corporate elite money. These people had money to burn, and they were all baby boomers literally trying to relive their childhood. They would spend anything on sports cards. Not like today. I need to make this very clear. The baby boomers were the suckers. Literally the suckers that Topps, Donruss, and Fleer took advantage of for 20 years. If you're a baby boomer, you know you spent way too much on sports cards and you didn't get anything back. Anything. Your cards are not worth what you thought they were going to be worth. Again, my father bought a ton of Nolan Ryan rookies, and he thought they would be worth thousands of dollars in the future. Not just 1,000. We're talking thousands each. Didn't happen. Every one of my Nolan Ryan rookies are worth about $1,000 each. That's it. 1,000. So I have 6 of them, so that's $6,000. Well, how much did he pay for all of them? He paid about $1,000 for all of them. So he went from 1,000 to 6,000. Can't retire on that. And that's in 35 years. So this is what I'm trying to get everybody to understand. The baby boomers were the suckers. Now the millennials are the suckers. You guys are suckers. You're paying way too much for cards. Way too much. And I'm trying to get you to understand, stop doing that. There is nothing wrong with the hobby. The hobby isn't broken. You're the one that's broken. If you understand the hobby and you understand how to play this game, you will make out. That's what this video is all about. How to build a $1 million PC starting with $50,000, and I've laid it out for you. My suggestion is hit the save button, come back to this video later. You should keep watching this one over and over and over again. Take notes, look at the strategies. This is not the only way to do this. I know I need to say that, unfortunately. This is not the only way to do this. This is just one way to do this. But this is the way that I've laid out for you. Again, you can swap out strategies. You can do your own experimentation. You can even make your own mistakes. Again, be careful how much you spend. So if you want to make a mistake, you want to take a little experiment, put aside $1,000 and experiment with $1,000, because that way you're not losing a ton of money. Again, if you follow this strategy, phase 1, you're going to have an extra $1,000 to experiment with, and see how much you can make. I promise you that most strategies that you're aware of will not make you that much money. You will be able to make from $1,000, you'll be able to make maybe like a couple $100. And that's not really going to move the needle. You saw a whole bunch of strategies where $1,000 turns into several $1,000s. That's how you start to build your collection. You have to be able to double and triple your money on the low end. That way you have the money to spend on the top cards. And you don't go after the top. Like you don't go after the $1 million cards. You don't go after the $100,000 cards. Stop doing that. You want to be with cards that are under 20K. That's the sweet spot, under 20K, because that's where you can actually make some profit. You don't want to go after the highest expensive cards because you need a sucker. You need a Jeff Wilson to come in and go, I'm going to spend all my money on cards. He's the sucker. He is what he is. He doesn't like money. I get it, but that's probably why he has Cards HQ now, because he needs a job. He's lost so much money that he needs a job. And so he created a job for himself. He's now a card shop owner, and hopefully it's going well for him. I don't know. Again, we're now 1 year in with this experiment for Cards HQ. I don't think he's doing as well as he thinks he's doing. Again, the numbers don't lie. He's barely eking it out. I'll just put it that way. He's barely eking it out. And as the economy goes into 2025, I don't know if he's going to survive. We'll see, because I don't think he's going to survive. Anyway, that's the show we have for this week. If you want to see more episodes of this show, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when they come out. And I'm going to say, this is Doc saying, have a great weekend.
There's only one show. There's only one show I want to watch. EDI Sports Show. Drop every Friday. Hot take. Where's the market? Behind the scenes. From the card shows to the streets.